Speaking with Bella is a special experience for me, one that I truly, truly cherish. There's, I think we share the same curiosity and interest in connection and relating that and like inner discovery, inner journeys, and how we can affect our own experiences in life. So, this conversation is both a conversation about professionalism, about knowing your worth, your value in a professional sense. But at the same time, it's a conversation about that precise thing on a personal level. And I am more versed in it in a professional sense. I have recent experiences where it's like I can sense so much that, yeah, this is it. Personally, it's still more of a challenge, but it's not a challenge that I'm shying away from. I'm jumping into it and having fun exploring. So join us for an hour and a half or so for some eroticism, for some sensuality, for the container of letting yourself explore and enjoy. Yeah, that sounds good, doesn't it? So, jump in. How are you?
I'm here.
You're here. Yes.
Yeah,
That's a good way to say it.
I'm standing up, or
Or
well,
sitting
as
down.
it is. Yeah, but I got out of bed.
Mm.
So, how are you?
I'm good. Um, I have been I've been having a lot of insights and I'm pondering what do I do and where do I do it and how do I do it and what's it worth? Both from a kind of human standpoint, but also from a monetary standpoint, business wise. So it's been a lot of that. And it's I feel kind of grown up, which is kind of rare for me. So I turned 50 3 weeks ago. And what I've said is that I won't now, and nobody can come and tell me that I need to grow up more because it's like I'm 50. I won't grow up more, right? But at the same time, this thing, yeah, I feel kind of grown up.
Mm.
Uh, which I wonder if what I'm actually feeling is I've sent out a quotation for a good sum of money, and I'm kind of not attached to it. You know,
Lovely.
they can say yes or no or part way or whatever, but it's like I've sent it and they can say, "Holy crap, that's a lot of money," or they can say yes and not even question. It's like, but I feel quite grounded in. I know I could do a good job. I know I'm worth the money that I've said it will cost them.
That's it.
And if they want me, fine. If they don't want me, fine. So it's a freeing,
Very.
freeing, which is kind of, often it's like, whoa, I need that or this and that. But it's like, no, I'm here. I'm here for it. You know,
It's like you're showing up for yourself.
yeah.
and for your worth and for
Yeah,
your needs, because
yeah,
that is the sum of money that will make your effort worthwhile to you.
yep,
And you're not going to take less than what is going to be worthwhile for you.
precisely, precisely.
And there's somebody told me that when you turn 50, you stop giving so much of a
Fuck.
SHIT. Yeah, or that.
Yep.
I always forget how much can I say and how much shouldn't I say in
Here
every
you can say
conversation.
anything.
I
It's
love
like
it.
anything goes because this is
Yeah.
tankespjärn. So
Yeah.
bring it on.
But you stop giving that much of a fuck about
Yeah.
like how it's going to be perceived, and you start standing up and showing up for yourself. And that has been also my journey. I'm now 51. Um, I'm being encouraged to show up for myself and to speak up for myself
Yeah.
and to take space
Yeah.
and not to minimize myself, not to fold myself and go sit in the corner. No, no. I have a value. I'm here to offer something of value. And in order for me to offer it in a way that is going to be the most effective, I need these conditions met for me. And I'm not going
Precisely.
to cut corners on the conditions that will make me the best value to you.
And it's I don't it's I'm not sure if I've ever felt this strongly work wise that just okay, I know my value, I know my worth, and it's just clear to me. Um and at the same time I spent the day down outside Ystad with a friend that I met last year. We met twice last year, just, for a walk and a dip in the ocean. But uh, I went down to their place and spent half the day there, and we were in conversation. And doing that for me on a personal level, the needs, the value, the worth. Oh, I'm not quite as calm. I feel so calm when it comes to this professional quotation that I've just sent away. It's like it's like no qualms, no worries, no nothing. It's just I know if they would hire me that it's going to be a heck of a lot of work, etc., but it's fine. It's like I can do it. No issues. But from personal standpoint, we were talking about, just the need for touch, for play, for connection, for physical intimacy and whatnot. It's like, oops. I feel like in my professional work life here, it's like the blossom has opened. It's like, yeah, it's there. I can see all of it. And I know what each petal means, what they represent. And I have, it's like there's a clarity there. In this personal space, it's much more yeah, it's opening up, but it's not close to as open.
So let me ask you, like, does it feel as though you give yourself permission to take more space professionally
Yeah.
and personally?
Yeah.
That somehow your personal needs, you, I think you, when I say you, I speak of a woman, really.
Yeah.
Like you as a woman, and many of us women are raised to minimize those.
Yeah.
to put them in service of the bigger picture, which to an extent is also important because otherwise we would be narcissists. But I
Yeah.
think it's gone a little too far
Yeah.
where we're not allowed to take space. We're not allowed to say, hey, I want to be touched and nothing else. Or I want to be fucked through my brains and not touched at all. And
Yeah.
whichever in the spectrum in between it can be,
Yeah.
that we have the self permission to say it, to
Yeah.
own our want, as Esther
Yeah.
Perel says.
Yeah. Yeah. And
That's really tricky.
the it's like I feel at work in this situation where it's a pharma gig and it's facilities and machines and quality management systems. It's the stuff that I've been spending 25 years doing. I am senior here. I know, it's like not that I can't be wrong or that there's things I don't know. I am definitely open for both of those. I know I can be wrong, but I have a sense of ground, of weight. There's weight in me there. It's like you
I am
won't
going to,
topple me.
yes. And that's really important. Can I share
Yeah,
something that I
go ahead.
experienced? Like, so I went to this university for a teacher's pedagogy course, like a postgraduate course that refreshes and discusses pedagogy. And I would say some of the best pedagogues in music education that produce the best musicians who go to like the top
Mhm.
schools were there giving lectures. And one of them, I super connected to her.
Mm,
And I also had a private music lesson with her
mm,
because each of the participants had a private lesson, or actually two. But she talked in one of her lectures about how boys and girls learn different.
mm,
And she said she learned that not from her pedagogy years, and she's got over 40 years of experience as a pedagogue and a school administrator. She actually learned that from her daughter's swim coach.
oh, cool.
And what she said to us is that he told her something that really stayed with her, and it really resonated with me. He said, I have to coach girls and boys completely different. And then she stood back and said, actually, I really don't think it completely goes in line with girls and boys. There are boys who need more the girl approach and girls that need more the boy approach. But there are sort of two categories of kids. And the coach's experience was that more often with girls, in order for them to do their best, you don't want to give them a bunch of instructions at the last minute because it erodes their self confidence. So with a girl, she's going to do 120% when she feels grounded and confident in herself. And with a boy, which is again loose description because it varies, um, you have to give the boy specific, intense instructions, and then he's going to rise up and do it. And I think you and I perhaps experience that very strong need, like you said, in your professional
I feel
environment
so
of
grounded.
feeling
Yeah.
grounded and good about yourself. And
Yeah.
then you can
Yeah. I can rock the
take the
world.
space
Yeah.
because that is emotional safety.
Yeah.
And we need emotional safety before we can venture out. And I think that maybe the workplace sometimes allows us to build that sense of emotional safety a little bit easier because it doesn't touch our core beliefs and core insecurities.
Precisely.
And then we go and dig into those insecurities and vulnerabilities and out the window goes the emotional safety.
Yeah. Yeah.
And how do we feel emotional safe when we're vulnerable? That comes both from us and how we set ourselves up, but also it's our responsibility to surround ourselves with individuals who will not crumble that for us.
And it really isn't me. This last couple of years, looking back now, I can really see these two aspects of me where in my work, I am detached that way because it's like you can't say anything to me there that would shake my knowing in my bones that I have value, I have worth, I have skill, I have knowledge, I have experience. I have something to bring to the table. If you don't want it, fine, but that won't make me start to question the worth that I'm bringing.
But you have the exact same worth in your personal.
Yes. But it's like I don't at all experience the same thing. So in session with Dominic, my therapist, a month ago, I might have said this already. He told me to make a sound, and I said "bah." I don't know if we talked about this even last time. No, I said "bah," and then he said, "Okay, keep doing the sound," and I did in my head. And he looked at me, and I said, "I am in my head. I'm saying bah, bah, bah." So I said, "Well, could you please do it out loud so that I can see that you're doing it. I can hear that you're doing it." So, kind of feeling very ridiculous, I started to say, bah, bah, bah. And this is just that thing. At work, I don't hold myself. I don't have that vice, mental vice, keeping me from expressing myself. I express myself, and I can using discernment, I know when to express myself, how to express myself, when not to do it. So it's not, oh, look at me, I'm the all-knowing Helena, it's like it's not that. At least I don't experience that. It's like when there's a need and I can be crystal clear and just cut to the core of it, coming to it without drama, coming to it. So I experienced last week in a meeting that people were hearing. They were hearing what I was saying. It's like, yeah, because I'm not saying it in a way that makes people get defensive or anything, but they could hear it. But personally, I have this mental vice, and it is a mental vice that can keep me from opening my mouth, keep me from moving my body. And this is one of the reasons why me and Özlem, who's also in this season of the podcast, we're gonna do improv theater together because he lives
That's
in
lovely.
Helsingborg. So before the 5th conversation we record, we have to. And I found a couple of meetup groups here in Malmö that do improv. So we're gonna have to do that because it's like I know how to speak. I know how to say my things. I know how to express my professional needs. Personally, it's like there's a gigantic slab of concrete on top of my needs. It's like they can't even get up because they're stuck underneath this heavy load that's just keeping them from being expressed.
What is the
And
load
it's
made of?
mental beliefs like shame, like unworthiness, like, oh, good girls don't do that. Good girls don't want to do that. He's like all of that stuff. And it's like it's fascinating to see this. And it's like I've been working on this. I've been dancing with this in a personal space for the 2 years that I've been in therapy now. And I see it. I speak it now. I can see it, I can speak to it, about it, I can be. So it's slowly eroding, you could say, but it hasn't gone poof and it's gone.
I don't
That's
think
not
it will ever go poof, though.
no. I
I
and
think
I'm not sure that it should in a way. I don't know
the
that that's
goal
the
is to make
yeah,
it jelly-like so it can like move instead of concrete. It'll
yeah,
become just
yeah, yeah, yeah,
like
so that I can get up and express when I need to.
exactly because much as I would like for us to have, blanket freedom to express ourselves, if everybody started expressing it every moment, there would be chaos. So, societally, we have to know when to choose. And of course, you and I know how to do that.
Yeah.
But
That's the
I
discernment.
think the discernment, exactly, but the discernment became concrete instead of jelly.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
that's when we get in trouble because now our self cannot come through.
Yeah, because I think discernment turned into judgment instead. That's what makes it concrete, because
Mhm.
judgment is fixed. It's black and white. It's wrong or it's good and nothing in between. And it's permanent. It's like if that is wrong today, is wrong forever. Whereas discernment is this jelly like where there's movement, there's energy, there's room and space to move and to say, today, let's go for that. Tomorrow, I don't know.
So
And
discernment is flexible and judgment is rigid.
yes,
I actually just made a very small voice memo of that because I really want to remember that.
yeah, yeah.
Because I wonder if I'm going through this process with a significant person in my life where that person takes my discernment and interprets it as judgment. And and that creates this real like barrier between us.
So, how does discernment being flexible and judgment being rigid help you? What opens up for you in that relationship when you bring those two?
I think I gave up judgment for me and towards others. Mostly. Um, I see people as people who have needs and unmet emotions and act out of them. And so with this person, when I say, hey, this action of yours affected me in this way, I am merely telling them what my experience of the interaction was. And it's being heard as you fucked up or you did wrong. And it's being responded to as if it's judgment because that person lives in either judgment or nothing. So I think what you said just sort of let me look at a situation that feels extremely challenging from a perspective that I had not considered. And that when you talk to a person who only knows rigidity or chaos, and they don't know how to marry those two and make the jello of discernment,
Yeah. Yeah.
then no wonder they're not able to take what you said as anything other than either chaos or rigidity. 'Cause that's just the dimensions that they work within.
And I think of two things. One is a very recent experience, and one is a long time ago experience with my first husband, where we got into the rut where it did not matter what I said or how I said it. It was the fact that I said it that was the problem. So eventually I learned after we divorced and um that I couldn't bring anything to the table because it was just there was no point. There was no point in me saying anything because it would be rejected at face value because it came from me.
What caused that rigidity in your eyes?
I think given the situation where we divorced just before our mutual firstborn was born, um, and um, he was having an affair and left, uh, and never connected to her, and had his baggage of not the same but similarities. Let's put it with parenthood and a kind of abandoned kids in a sense that
So he had to be rigid
he
in order
could,
not
yeah,
to feel crushed
precise,
guiltily.
yeah, precisely. I think that was his protection. That was his protection. If I make it Helena's fault, I don't have to look at what's my part of this. And he actually said so to me 10,
Mm,
12 years later when we had a conversation. He said, "It was me." Oh, wow. Yes,
clearly.
good. I'm happy you can see that. It's like, and I mean, I'm not saying that the divorce and everything that happened was his fault, but the way that it all unfolded and what happened and how it unhappened, that was really, really, he was so rigid and could not, would not. And again, personal, psychological, protective, defense mechanisms and whatnot are at play. So, but it took me many years and many hours with a therapist before I could really honestly say that I am not responsible for his relationship with our mutual kid. Period. That took years.
I feel sad for that because I'm in a place where I feel like all this fall out on me
Yeah.
and all these years that I'm going to have to put in.
Yeah.
Some of it is unpreventable, but some of it is preventable.
Yeah.
And it's not prevented through carelessness.
No.
And that's where I get really sad because just a little bit more forethought and consideration could cause me a lot less grief.
Yeah.
And ah, so hard.
Yeah, and
But
again, you can only do the work that you can do,
Mhm.
right?
but
But
it's like I am piled with this load while I'm going uphill,
yeah,
and now I have to take this load uphill, even though going uphill
yeah,
is already
hard
very.
enough. Yeah,
And that load could have been put on the side of the road or
yeah,
on
yeah,
a lift just
yeah,
as easily as it
yes,
was put on me.
yeah,
So that's when it gets really tricky.
yeah. But the other thing that I thought about when you were speaking about this rigidity and kind of not meeting each other in the in what is what I'm hearing. Um, just recently, there was a there's been drama in the family with one of my kids and by one of her by one of her friends. And I have been so judgmental and just no. It's like I'm not interested. I'm not, you know, go away and don't ever come back. I'm not interested.
To the friend,
To the friend. Where she's just I don't ever want to see her again. I don't ever want my daughter to have anything to do with her again. I just, she's a viper. I don't want her here. And it has been so liberating to be judgmental here, to just say no, not to be, oh, I know that she's, has her history, which I do. I know that she can change in the future, which I know she can. I don't care. I don't care. It's like, not on my watch, not in this lifetime. Go away. And the liberation of not having to be so freaking in the light, but to, it's like, oh, I've been, having fun with my shadow in a sense. And just letting this out. It's been such an interesting journey.
I hear two things.
What do you hear?
I hear you setting a very healthy boundary
Yeah.
without canceling the validity of the other person in their journey. You have said your journey is valid and you have great potential, but I don't have the capacity to carry you on my back through your journey. So you're going to have to take somebody else's back. And and I think that's what I would guess that's what feels liberating is that you give yourself permission to set that boundary.
Yeah.
That before that, it would have felt almost immoral not to consider the other person.
Yeah.
Whereas actually,
Precisely.
you are considering the other person and you're also showing up for yourself. And the other thing I heard was you being Mama Bear.
Yeah. Oh, I have been. Oh, I have been. Oh, yes.
And so it is always so multifaceted.
Yeah, and the mama bear issue of it has also been it's like me stepping in as mama bear in the situation where I haven't taken over. I haven't done my kid's work. I haven't fought her fights. I've just supported her. And I have been there. She can lean on me and I have not moved. I'm not quivered. I'm not, gone away. I've been there. That has been very, very healing for my inner little child. Because
I want to
I've
learn
been
that from you.
mirroring, I've been doing to my daughter and by doing that, I've also been doing it to myself as a little child. So it's been like a, a healing experience on many levels or layers. Um, And yeah, and it's fascinating. Have we spoken about Clarissa Pinkola Estes' Women Who Run with the Wolves,
I am
the
sorry,
book?
the connection got a little bit. Please repeat.
Have you read Clarissa Pinkola Estes' Women Who Run with the Wolves, the book? Oh, I think you would really, really enjoy that book. Um,
Women who run with the wolves.
Women Who Run with the Wolves, and boy, am I ever running with the wolves and gathering bones and being all sorts of things at the moment. And it's the there's a chapter in that book that speaks about natural predators, and they can exist outside of ourselves and they exist inside of ourselves. And I've read that book 3 times in the last 2 years. And I'm now doing my second round of a book circle with a circle for each chapter. And I'm actually doing 2 sessions for each chapter. So I'm really, massaging myself in it. I'm really like in this book in such a cool way. And it's as if this experience, this opportunity came at the precisely right moment. It's as if universe said, hey, we need to try Helena out now so that she can really see that she has gained new skills. She has learned new things about herself, etc. So looking back at it, it feels like, oh, that just came at the perfect time when I was so ready to be Mama Bear. When I've been talking about boundaries for the past 2 years, and I'm really like, yeah, experimented with the concept of it. Just what is it and how does it feel in me, etc. And it's like you say, yeah, here is a place where I set a boundary that just boom, that just felt so natural, so self-explanatory. It's like it just boom, it landed. It's like there it was. Yeah, good. Now we're done with that
What
thing.
was what was beautiful about the boundary is that it did not dehumanize or dehumanize the other person. It allowed for the other person to have the full potential of
Yeah. Yeah. On the
developing
other
and
side of my
becoming,
boundary. Yeah.
but yes, but
Yeah.
not on your back.
No. No. Away.
And that's something that I am trying to do and really battling. To say, hey, you have full right to experience your spectrum of experiences and journeys,
But do
but
it
it
over there,
shouldn't have to
please.
come at my expense.
No. And not
It
even
should,
shouldn't have to.
it does not.
It's like, it is not to come at your expense. It is not.
But then when I say that and it gets perceived as the rigid judgment, then the conversation derails.
Yeah.
And so this is the piece of it's important to know how to set those boundaries, but also to surround ourselves by people who are able to hear us for what we say and not for what
Perceive.
their childhood trauma says.
Yeah. And it does not invalidate your boundary.
No,
Like
doesn't.
to really know that. It's like you say, when I send away this quotation now, it's like, take it or leave it, that's fine, but that's what it's gonna cost. You won't, there's no haggling to be done. It's like, that's it. Because that's
Not up
it.
for debate.
It's not up for debate. Um, But you know, they can take it or leave it. That's fine. That's my boundary.
And that's their choice what they do with that.
Yeah.
But they're not gonna push that boundary.
Yeah.
So how do we learn to do that with our personal needs?
How do we learn to do that with our personal needs, Bella?
Difficultly.
Yeah,
Um,
apparently.
like something called exposure therapy,
Yeah.
where the more you do it, the more desensitized you get to the vulnerability and to the hurt,
And
the
to
more
the
you stand up
shame.
to the shame. Oh, you totally named it. That's actually the
That's
vulnerability and the hurt are
yeah,
okay. It's the shame
it's the
that
shame. That's the shutter downer. That's the thing that just
yes. It's as a performer,
Mhm.
if I have a tour of 5 shows, it's a very different experience than if I have a tour of a 38 shows. Because by show number 7, one gets tired of having a heart attack of nerves before every show. You just simply desensitize.
Yeah.
5 shows are not enough to get you there.
Mhm.
38 shows are fantastic because by the 7th, you start getting desensitized. And by the 28th, you're starting to enjoy it. And by the 38th, you actually can step in there and know and feel like you belong in that space. But
It's
it takes
yours.
that much. And it's funny because for me, that muscle atrophies almost immediately as soon as I stop using.
Mm.
In other words, if I skip a year of touring, I'm back to where
Mm. To
on
the
the first
beginning.
show.
Mm.
"Brr."
Have you done a lot of touring?
I did for years. Yeah, I did about 14 years of annual or biannual touring.
Where would you go? All
And
over the US or just in a
yeah,
state? All over the US.
sometimes I used to be connected to a production based out of California. So for several years, it was just up and down the coast of California. And then for several years became national, where we started in California and ended up in Florida. And for several years, it was California with a little bit of the Western states. So it was the gamut.
Do you
But
enjoy that? I mean, apart from the playing and the building your muscle and stuff, do you enjoy the touring? Or did you?
it very much depends on the people you're with because you're
Yeah.
in a family bubble. So for
Yeah.
some of the years, it was absolutely amazing. And for the last few years I did it, I got bullied. So it was one of those experiences where I needed therapy to like get out from under. So just like with anything, context is everything.
It's everything. Yeah.
And you can have completely different experiences on the same route depending on what dynamic evolves within your group of people that you're touring with. And it's pretty hard when you're not the one choosing the people you tour with, because you're at the mercy of whoever chooses. And sometimes the dice rolls in your favor, and sometimes the dice crushes you.
Mm.
And I would say that both of those have happened to me, and both of those have had valuable lessons. Because when the dice crushed me, it still didn't crush my music. It crushed the quality of my immediate experience on that. That tour became miserable. But just like with anything that pushes you a lot, you swing back. And so my swinging back was to dive really deeply into my musical experience and deeply into my creativity and deeply into giving myself permission to follow what I feel is right. And I don't really care if I perform for two students or 4,000 people in an arena or anything in between. And it was actually very apparent with this pedagogy course I did because there was 20 of us who were all music teachers. And some of us got up to play for the staff, the lecturers. And I could tell who has done some touring and who hasn't,
Who
because those of
hasn't?
us who
Yes.
hadn't, the moment something went wrong, it crumbled the whole thing. And
Instead of
those of
just, okay,
us,
you just skip. You just
yeah,
skip a step.
yeah.
Yeah.
And so, speaking of non rigidity, being on tour and playing in a big venue where the sound system could be your best friend or worst enemy from 1 minute to the next. You just really learn to like not crumble no matter what pickle juice you're put in a sense.
Yeah. Yeah. Another way to frame it is like you learn how to dance with whatever knocks on the door.
Yeah, pretty much. And sometimes your dance is clumsier than others, but
Yeah.
it's still
And
a dance. You still
sometimes you're
didn't
just
crumble on the floor.
gorgeous. Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes you are gorgeous.
Sometimes
Sometimes
you,
your whole soul sings with it.
yeah.
And you never know which experience is going to go which. And there's an adventure and a risk and a beauty. And there's what Esther would call eroticism because of the risk. But as somebody who needs emotional safety in order to soar, when that got taken away, the risk became danger instead of excitement. And then what happens on a personal level? You can feel sometimes with a person that it's a risk and not a danger. And so it's exciting, but not dangerous.
And again, that's where discernment comes in on a personal level, like learning that lesson, learning to see, learning what to cut away and what to keep.
Yeah.
Um, that's been like also in this recent personal drama in the family where it's like, what's on the inside? What's on the inside that makes us, my daughter or me or you or anyone, like what makes us put ourselves in situations where I mean, we are players, right? I am a part of whatever is going on and what's my part in that and what can I do to learn from this situation so that next time something similar comes along, the dynamic I bring to the situation is a different one. Um, so there's, it's like that's kind of the thrilling aspect of life for me that there's there's the possibility for that adventure, that exploration, that bringing myself to a similar situation, but me shifting, me bringing something else into the the moment that poof can make something else happen. It's like, oh, I like that. That's thrilling. Because that, for me, is the eroticism that Esther Perel speaks with. That is the life force. That's the spark. Or that is what brings the potential for the spark that can then, woo, just take
And we
off.
can never do that when we're ashamed.
No, that's impossible. Being ashamed is like a wet blanket. It's like there's not going
On
to
all
be
of it, right?
any sparks. No sparks possible when you're a
Yep.
wet blanket. It just does not happen.
Mhm.
But my feeling is, I was telling my friend today that I've really been in hibernation this winter, really deeply hibernating here in my house, inside of myself. I've been meeting a lot of people online, yes, but I have been meeting more people, so to speak, in books. I've been reading, the first 4 months of this year. Did I read 50 books? Yeah, I did. It's like, I just, and I've been reading about complex characters that are full and rounded, not perfect in any sense with bunny ear, but like people with
Real.
real, with like really fucking amazing good sides, and then horrible, bad, negative, dark sides. And I love it. It's like, so I've been drawn to these darker aspects of characters where I haven't read, like I'm not sure that I've read any feel good this year, which I do now and again. But this year, no, because it's like, I need more darkness. I've needed more of the shadows. Um,
Sounds like reading about other shadows makes your shadows more able to come out.
that's precisely the experience I have. So now I am personally playing and experiencing these shadows. The situation, the drama situation, definitely brought out my shadow side, powerful shadow side, mama bear shadow side. It's like, it was, I can be dangerous there. Absolutely. But now and again, that's valid. Now and again, that is what's necessary to survive, to live, to thrive. That can be a really good thing, instead of being afraid of it and, "Oh, no, cannot," distancing myself. It's like, okay, bring it on. And now I have the sense that I'm starting to come out of the shell. I'm starting to come out of my cave and actually meeting people in person. I went to Denmark, to Copenhagen, to my friend on Sunday, and just, you know, like, and 'cause I haven't wanted to go anywhere, but it's like, no, yeah, I went to my friend in Insta today. Yeah, I do. So there's a movement happening.
There's
Um,
that discernment that you speak of
yeah,
when is it safe to let the shadows, when it's appropriate, when is it positive to let the shadows
yeah,
out, and when is it to say, "Gonna keep it inside."
yeah.
And
And it's a little bit like, it's like charging a battery. Like, you can bring them out, but if they're only on 5%, it's like, they won't get anything done.
last.
They won't do anything. They're too diluted. They're too weak. It's like, no, I've been charging up. They've been at 100% ready and raring to go. And it's like, okay, what happens now? And as I'm saying that, there's a little bit of that sense of weight, of stability, of groundedness. But it's like you say, I need more of those. And for me, it is really, give me a facilitated experience where I can feel held And within that, I can let go. I can experience, I can play, I can bring all of those stuffs out. That's one of the conditions for me in this private sphere, where that's one of the ways that I can help myself unravel, unfold, start to like the blossom is opening
But
up.
that speaks directly to that swim coach's
Yes.
idea of
Yeah.
we need,
Yeah.
you called it a facilitated
Yeah.
experience where
Yeah.
you can lean, you can
Yeah.
feel good within your container enough to blossom out of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
What is an experience like that for you if you feel like sharing?
Well, so I've had a couple of those. It's been a couple of years since I did them, but um 2018 I had 4 of those very clear facilitated experience, starting with a goddess weekend. Uh, all women and just all sorts of exercise, and there was movement and dancing, and there was introspection and reflection and writing. There was sharing. There was it was like all sorts of things. But that was a good starter. And then I went to the No Mind Festival in Ängsbacka, which is Ängsbacka uh, is this place further up north in Sweden where they have all sorts of different festivals. There's a Tantra festival, and the No Mind Festival is kind of a everything festival. So there's music, and they have like shamanic weekends and courses and lots of stuff. It's great fun. This was the first and only time I went there, and it was a big, there were, I don't know, 1,100 or 1,200 people there for a week. So a lot of stuff, lots of energies around. But you could try out anything and everything from singing together or dancing together or taking
What
different
about
types of
like a
workshops.
private moment?
There was So that's where when I do these things, I am helped by not doing it in private. Because there was a tantric breast massage workshop. That was freaking awesome. That was the coolest thing I've ever experienced. I had my first energy orgasm during that workshop, and it was just amazing. And it's like, I could I could give myself that because I had another energy orgasm a couple of months later when I did a playful tantra weekend, just from what's rebirthing, the breathing, where you just basically you breathe quite forcefully in and out, and for an hour's time. And I had another one, so it's like I know I can do that, but I don't. So me, just me, it doesn't happen. I don't. I
No,
don't let
there needs to be a
myself.
content. Oh, wow.
I
Really?
don't. It's like, well, no, I don't step into it then. I don't do the container. I don't do the setting. I don't like take time for it or go into it with that thing. But if it's a facilitated experience, I can be all in. And I can be
So I wonder
all in.
why you wouldn't be able to do that for yourself. Like,
It's like I
is
haven't
that
gotten there yet. That's my feeling. I haven't gotten there yet. It's like, okay, I need the facilitated experiences. And my sense is I wouldn't go to the No Mind Festival now because I don't want the big. I want the small. I want the little. So I'm going to a twilight retreat in 2 weeks' time, which I think will be like 20 women, facilitated by When the Blackbird Sings and Wild Herbarista on Instagram, two Swedish ladies that are special, that I don't really have a lot of connection with, but I've been interested in what they're doing. I've been, taking part of what they're doing and checking them out and feeling into it. And then this retreat came on, and I was like, that's the one. I have no clue what it will be, but it feels just right. So it's like, okay, here we go again. Let's see what happens. I don't know. But I think, so here's the thing. When I am just with me, that mental vice is on. Yeah,
That's it.
that's what happens. I'm not helped to remove it. And I don't do it from within yet. It's like, so it's like,
Sometimes I found that smoked pot removes it for me.
so, tell me that again because now the internet was wobbly again.
Okay. I have found that there have been times when smoking pot has done that,
Oh,
removing the mental vice.
yeah.
And I don't think that that's the only substance or the only way to do it. But because that has worked for me, for a little while, I allowed that substance to be my container.
Yeah.
And I have found that with time, the container could be within me without the substance.
Yeah. Yeah. So you didn't need that setting or that
I can now do
prop.
it without the pot, just the rest of the setting is there because it's a mindset.
Yeah.
And interestingly, that sometimes helps my professional as well. Because if I can do it with me and not relying on external factors to give me that container of self expression, then an external factor becomes nice to have, but not
Okay.
must.
Yeah.
But it started with it being a must have for me to even learn how to get in that mindset. And so it can be a prop, and there's nothing wrong with a prop.
Again, there's a difference between discernment and judgment.
Yep.
Because you can say, if you say with judgment, you would say, it's not good to need a prop. But with discernment, you can say, there's definitely times when a prop is just what the doctor ordered for you to be able to do what it is that needs to be done.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that there's that again flexibility of the discernment
Yeah.
that you can accept and learn when the prop is needed and when it's no longer necessary.
Yeah. And I think for me, it's like, for me, that prop so far has been external facilitation.
Totally. It makes
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah.
But like I think what's more interesting is how to internalize that.
Yeah.
And through using the prop, get to a place where you're able to internally do it.
Yeah. And I've been, it's like I have, and I've been, it's such an interesting thing. There's somehow a large part of me that is so, it needs to be functional, it needs to be efficient, it needs to be like, it's like there's that efficiency, functionality, um, productivity. There's that aspect of me that when I am by myself, I don't I don't let myself just enjoy the luxuriety of. But I have done for the past 2 years. I have a a a bathtub in the basement in my bathroom, and for so many years, I never used it. But the past 2 years, maybe not every month, but not far from it, and I bring down candles, and I have soft music playing, and I can just, hot, 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 hot water, and I love that, and I'm just enjoying it. I'm just in the moment of the pleasure of the feeling, the experience, the sensation. I'm just there. And like, I haven't used perfumed shampoo or detergent or anything for like 30 years. And I don't use lotions. And, it's like I wash my face with water in the morning and the evening, and then I'm done. Um, so now when I turned 50, I think I have it here on the table. I got a couple of, probably 3 or 4 people gave me luxurious lotions and whatnot. I still haven't used them. But it's interesting because, again, it is that thing that I can let myself enjoy it. It doesn't have to mean anything. I don't have to put on the layer of judgment. Oh no, I don't want perfumed products. I can just, I can just enjoy it.
It's it's sort of how our conversation is. It's meandering.
Yeah.
You can
Yes. Yes, yes,
dabble a
yes.
little bit, then you can dabble on your nose
Yeah.
or not.
Yeah.
Matter. And none of it is right or wrong, just is.
Yeah.
One of the beautiful things that I learned in the pedagogy course I went, this specific one focuses on a non-judgmental environment, which is why I felt like it was really um, valuable. So when you teach students, they say, "What is a mistake?" And the answer is, mistakes are information.
Yes, precisely.
They're not good, they're not bad, they're not evil, they're not smelly, they're not loud. They're just information. And when you meander and explore mistakes, that's when you learn the most from them.
Okay.
And when you meander and explore, well, maybe it's just water, or maybe it's water with a little bit of essence of lavender, or maybe it's just this really heavy lotion, and you'll be like, ew, too much.
Yeah.
But then you're going to go from one extreme to the next extreme. And then the pendulum is going to start sort of swinging a little bit less and a little bit less until you find that balanced middle. But without swinging the pendulum,
It doesn't happen. Without swinging the pendulum, there's rigidity.
yes.
Yes. There's no
And then you're
movement.
like a wooden figure and you
Yeah.
can't do anything.
Yeah.
So I hope that you take time to meander through your
Yeah.
luxurious lotions.
Yeah. I'm gonna have to bring them up. I have like this gorgeous little Amazing Space by Laura Bonet. Delicate skin, soothing face, eye, and neck care. High-tech organic natureceuticals. This gorgeous little box. And I was opening that thingamajig, and it's like, oh, I've never, it's like, I would never
Indulge
buy.
yourself in this.
I was like, I would just never. And I know the person who gave me this, she knows me well. She knows me so well.
Oh,
So it's kind of fun
she
to.
just gave you a container.
Exactly. Exactly. And my friend Issa, she also gave me a thingamajig of some sort. But last fall, I was at their place, Jakob and Issa's place, and she gave me a soap that she's made herself. And it's as if I turn into velvet. It's silky, it's velvety, it's so delicious on my body to do that. So I do use that one, and I have been thoroughly enjoying it because just the actual physical sensation of that soap, that's kind of a lotiony soap almost, is just it's it's so sensual because it brings out
It
all of the
really sounds that
senses.
way.
Yeah, it brings out all of the senses. That is also one of those containers that just opens up all of these like deliciousnesses.
It almost sounds like the more you do that, the more containers you set up for yourself, the less realistic is it going to be to have shame and lack of containers.
Mhm.
Because your experience of containers is going to be so much more overwhelmingly major than
Yeah,
the experience of no containers and shame and rigidity.
yeah,
That little by little, you can turn that balance into where the normal is actually having all this.
yeah,
And the not normal is being deprived of it,
yeah.
whether by yourself or by circumstance or by a person, doesn't matter. But it sounds like
I'm on my
fun
way.
journey.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm
you
on
are.
my way.
Sounds
Yeah,
like it.
yeah. It's
Sometimes just reminding yourself that this is the path, that this is the journey, and
Yeah,
you take
because
another
that
step.
that helps me to like step out. The word I was looking for before I didn't, I was like utilitarian. I can be so utilitarian. It's like everything needs to have its function and stuff. But it's like, no.
Practical.
Yeah. It's like, and no, it doesn't have to be. There is more to life than that. I am not a worker bee. It's like, that is not. There is so much more on the table. Just, pick and choose. Um,
But use it. So I think what I'm taking a lot out of this conversation is that no matter what rigidity, what I say is met with, I need to be dogged about my discernment and flexibility, almost in a rigid way,
yeah,
like unwaveringly
discerning. Yeah,
bring it back in. And hopefully, I can give enough to myself of that entitlement to be discerning, entitlement to have flexibility, to where when it's met with rigidity and judgment, I can just kind of say,
yeah. Thanks, but
that's
no
not me.
thanks.
Thus far, when it's met with rigidity and judgment, it hurts because I too have needed the container,
Mm.
and the person who was that container no longer is. And all of a sudden, I'm containerless,
Yeah.
and feeling at a loose end is a really good description of
Yeah.
that. So the more I become that container for me, the more I can own it.
And the more you will get to experience. And imagine the gift of that. Imagine the gift of people like that. Because what you're doing, how you are being is is such a it's an invitation. It's an invitation to others to 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 be and do that thing. Because you're
Yeah, but
not
I need to
minimizing
invite
yourself.
I need to
Precisely.
invite myself
Precisely.
first. Yeah.
Absolutely.
But yeah,
But if
then as a consequence, it is an
yeah,
invitation to
yeah,
others.
yeah, it is. And I mean, it can be an invitation to others to come play with you, but it can also be an invitation to others to start to play with them, to create
Exactly.
their own container, to it's like, okay, how can I own me? How can I be so self-honoring and so, yeah, just
Yeah.
in that space of letting the eroticism that is life be there, a presence. Um, and
For
I'm
me, it's one step further.
telling,
It's not only letting that be, but when some other entity or circumstance tries to make it back into rigidity, to help keep it jelly like. Because there's going to be entities and people around us that will always prefer the security of rigidity. And it's going to be up to us to like not allow that discernment to turn into judgment,
yeah,
either from others or from ourselves towards
yeah.
ourselves.
And I'm thinking that one of the things that I'm really gonna anchor the sensation I had last week where, in a professional setting, I could feel so free and detached from others' beliefs or thoughts or whatever. Just such a, like you say, that emotional safety was just there, coming from me, you know, coming from within me. It's like I was that container for me then. So having that experience and kind of like really touching it and like feeling it and remembering what did that feel like? How was that? Is something I think can really help me when I jump over to the personal side because like, okay, I know what that feels like. It's not new to me. It's not foreign to me. I know
No longer.
that. No,
Yeah.
because I know that.
Yeah.
So that way I can be my own role model, uh, in a
And
sense.
we're our own best role models because
Yeah,
our experience within ourselves is much more visceral for
yeah,
us
yeah,
than anybody else's experience.
yeah.
So when you have experienced it viscerally on your skin and on yourself and on your psyche, it becomes a lot easier to sort of take it and put it in different categories of yourself.
And I have a totally different experience from last week that was also a very visceral one. I have been wearing, like, I would say 99.5% only barefoot shoes or being actually barefoot since 2016. I basically don't have any other shoes and, I don't fit into them anymore. Last week, I was in a machine workshop for 4 days doing or being a witness in a sense to a factory acceptance test, and I had to wear safety shoes. And they are heavy and they're hard and they're, steel in the front and it's like thick soles and
Confining.
whatnot. I felt like I was walking around with concrete blocks. And my feet were going, "What the fuck are you doing to us? You have been liberating us since I started in 2014. That's when I bought my first pair of barefoot shoes. And they were like looking up at me, going, "Hey, you, we don't do this constraining thing anymore. It's just not us. It's not on." So that's also one of those role modeling things where I have such a good relationship with my feet today. They are so happy that they are allowed to be. They are free to roam about and be all that they can be. That there's like other body parts of mine that are like, hey, that's precisely what we're looking at as well. That's the role model. That's what my arms want to do when I'm out and I want to dance, or my voice want to do when Dominic says make a sound and I say ba, and then go in my head and make the ba. It's like, so that's also one of those things. Like, and it was such a good reminder to have to wear these horrible prison shoes for 4
Yeah.
full days, and just I could feel because I was so conscious of my feet being hemmed in, being trapped, being, you know, held in a
Mhm.
vice. It's like, which again is that mental vice. Yes, it feels
Same
like
thing.
having
Yeah.
safety shoes on my feet. It's the same
Yeah.
feeling.
But isn't it so beautiful that you also have experiences that don't have that vice, that the vice gets removed? Because once you set a precedent,
Yeah,
then that experience can expand a
yeah,
lot.
yeah. Maybe that's where we end.
Yeah. I think
That's a
that's a
good
good one.
feeling. It's a good expanse. It's like, ooh, it's like the universe. It's like, it just does not end. It's like, it's infinite. It's not endless. It's infinite. It's like,
And even
what's
you and
there?
I, we're not ending, we're pausing
You're,
because
you're,
there's going to be more.
yeah, there is. I look forward to the next one as well. And the next, and the
Likewise.
next.
And whenever.
Yeah. Yeah. And I had a conversation last Friday with Frank from season 1. We were in a 3-hour Zoom, and it was so lovely. We haven't had a one-on-one for quite a while, but yeah, it's just, it's just fantastic. It is so wonderful. So these, doing these 5 conversations, each with 5 people, it is like, talk about me making such a huge investment in my entire life. Because connections form, deepen, relationships come out of this. There's a closeness, there's a shared experience that is like, this isn't a little bit shallow on the surface. No, it goes deeper than that.
And at the same time, you're also building your container that is your own. through those conversations, and
Yeah.
so am I. Like,
Yeah.
we both build those containers.
Yeah. 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 That's what in the first 2 seasons when we've rounded them off, we've had a group session or 2 with everybody in the season so you can prepare for that one. And that is the insight that I got the first of those. It's like, oh yeah, this impacts everything in my life. I can't, it's like this isn't, oh yeah, I'm spending an hour or 2 in a conversation with, 25 times over 5 months or something. It's like, no, 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 no. That's just what it looks like on the surface. But it goes in everything. Every cell of my body is invested in this, is impacted by this. Um,
That's lovely.
yeah. Yeah.
That's the one thing that is worth going for, isn't it?
Yeah.
The rest of it, just the surface part, is so unsatisfactory once you've allowed yourself to dive deeper.
Well,
We'll do it again.
we'll do it again. Until next time, Bella. Thank you for today.
Thank you, Helena, and see you soon.
Going on a personal journey of exploration that is more like a meandering conversation with myself because it's not a journey from A to B or even A to Z where I know where I'm going. I know the final destination, and that's the goal. Mm-mm-mm. It is the meandering exploration that is everything in a sense. And that's, I would say, what happens in the monthly Tankesbjörn Zoom calls that we have over on the Patreon community. Kind of like this conversation and like the other conversations, only there's more than 2 people. Not too many, though, because I don't want there to be too many. I want everybody to be able to come, to share, to be open and vulnerable and confused and elated and like bring all of that to the table. So if you're curious, go over to patreon.com/tankesbjörn or find the link to the community on tankesbjörn.com and check us out because we have fun. We have fun. 90 minutes every month. There's a meandering exploration going on around a topic or around no topic. Real one wants to show. So hop on over there and see if you feel like joining. Then you join. And I hope to see you there.